The book of Revelation tells us that we, as a people, admire the modern world, which is dominated by the Khazar Jews and the Freemason nations. We now know that the Queen's Passage is 1521 pyramid inches long, and it leads into the River of Paradise. Now there's a burst out hole in the wall of the Grand Gallery, and it is a tunnel that comes up from a grotto which represents the sepulchre. And there's a tunnel below it coming up from the excavated descending passage that is 360 some odd feet long, drilled into the bedrock. The white square to the top is 286.1 inches from the flat surface of the horizontal passage, which is 1/8 286.1 pyramid inches square, and it enters into the subterranean chamber. So they drilled down through this bedrock and then changed direction, then to hit the subterranean chamber spot on. You'll see that if they would have continued along the line that they were going at the 26-degree angle, they would have missed the chamber altogether. So they knew where it was in this bedrock. So they suddenly stopped and they moved 26.5 feet horizontally into the chamber itself. They squared off the ceiling and left the natural formation to show us that it is a natural formation. So it is the same number, 26.5 feet, as the length of the island that is identified by the sword of the protecting the way back into the Garden of Eden, 26.5 miles long. Jan Mayen Island. So Ezekiel prophesied of this. He was told to dig through the wall and see what's going on in Jerusalem, Sodom, and he did so. Ezekiel is important because his name is numbered alphabetically, and it's the 3168th in the Hebrew Concordance. Dig through the wall in their sight and carry out thereby, and it carries on showing the abominations they did and do. And the verse number 125 is Egypt. The grotto itself is again a natural phenomena. We've come out at 286.1 back up the descending passage, and they've tunnelled into the side of the bedrock, and it comes out at the grotto, which again is a natural formation. So they found that after drilling upwards over 100 feet. We see the grotto in the centre there in the bedrock. So the tomb represents the resurrection, and the Grand Gallery is the world, and my birth is signified by the coming out through the 116.26 antechamber into the Grand Gallery, where it meets the resurrection, and I lead you all into paradise. So the sword that prevents man from re-entering paradise has been in place for 6,000 years. Now the sword that I'm talking about is the flaming sword, which is only found once in the Old Testament. The number is 3858, and if we convert that to miles and we measure down from the sword, 3858 or 3857, it's from 3858, is 4443 kilometres, and that gives us the number we're looking for. And that gives us the small country, Ivory Coast. The area is 124503, and I crashed a logging truck on the 14th of February 1978 when I was 12453 days old. So we've converted the flaming sword number into miles, and from that point we draw an arc and we'll come out to 3168 miles, and it is Bethel. And Jacob called the name of the place where God spake with him Bethel. This is perhaps the most prominent point in the Genesis story. So he built an altar there, and what we have done now is to overlay a pyramid on the 0 longitude line and 0 latitude line to the North Pole, and the descending passage is the Ivory Coast. So it looks something like that. So it keeps man from re-entering paradise because Adam didn't recognise the Lord, didn't trust in the Lord, sinned against the Lord. And Adam is not Jesus, by the way. Some religions teach that. So what we have then is the sword at top, coming down the flaming sword number 3858 Hebrew as miles, then 3168 miles, Lord Jesus Christ to Bethel. And we now know that we have the sword, and it is 44.43 metres thick, and it descends 24 miles to Gibraltar, the height of Europe, and 3168 miles to the altar, the Great Pyramid. Now what I've done here is taken the right hand section, measured it up exactly, and it gives us a height at that angle of 3.12 nautical miles, and that is my name, Brian Leonard Golightly Marshall, 312 in Greek gematria. Now from the drawn sword we come down to the 24 miles, continue down to the Ivory Coast, then back up to Bethel, and the total distance is 6609 nautical miles. At that number is the drawn sword. Now the sword of Orion in the astronomy, it tells us that it is Jesus drawing the sword, and in the left hand is the shield, and it is reaching around Israel, and we see that from the 2424 line is the bow or the shield aiming at Jerusalem. It'll